Welcome back to Brightside this morning, covering our changing climate. A new study published in the American Meteorological Society's Journal of Climate shows an alarming trend in the Gulf, data indicating that the Gulf has been warming about twice as quickly as global oceans. Meteorologist Grant Gilmore here with a deeper dive for us this morning. This really has a big impact on us.
Yes, when you think about how we depend on the Gulf of Mexico, for better or for worse, right? There's a lot going on out there. Let me try to break this down to you. It's a really in-depth study. So first of all, I want to talk about the oceans itself and the heat that the oceans have in them. We just think about it typically like how comfortable is it when we want to go out and swim, right? Well, here, the big picture, the ability of the oceans to store and slowly release heat coming in from the sun stabilizes the Earth's climate system. 70% of the globe is covered in ocean, so it's a big part in our global climate. And the top few yards of the ocean, so just think about it, you go down just a few yards, the heat that is stored in that top layer of the ocean, it is as much as the entire atmosphere. So the ocean is holding on to a lot of heat and it's slowly releasing it off into the atmosphere, as opposed to a lot of spikes and valleys like what we see with our daily heating and cooling in the atmosphere. This is a graph looking at the global ocean heat content, so the content in the oceans. And you can see, if you go back to the 1950s, it has been gradually warming, with quite a bit of warming within just the last couple of decades. This is what this new study found. So it went back and it studied 192,000 ocean profiles in the Gulf of Mexico, and it found that the Gulf of Mexico's surface temperature increased by 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit between 1970 and 2020. So that equaled out to about 0.34 degrees Fahrenheit per decade. And this is what ultimately that Caitlin just said, which is very alarming, that the Gulf of Mexico warmed at twice the rate of the warming that we're finding in all the other oceans around the world. So you're probably saying, well, what are the concerns about that? Why is that a big deal? All right, here's the thing. That will exacerbate sea level rise. You have just warming causes expansion. So that's also going to contribute to the rise of the water off of our coast. That's also going to contribute and exacerbate the hypoxia. We talk about the dead zone from all of the nutrients that come in out of the Mississippi River. That just causes an overfill of stuff that then causes there to be a lack of oxygen in the ocean, which then causes our marine life to die and not be able to live in that part of the Gulf of Mexico. But maybe more importantly for us, more heat in the Gulf of Mexico means we're going to see more intense hurricanes, and that ultimately is a threat to our coast. And that's why this study is important, because we have to understand what's happening so then we can figure out how to, one, prevent it, or maybe more immediately prepare for what those impacts are going to be.